Thanks for staying. Welcome back to Business Live. Now, former Deputy Minister of Finance, Ato Forson, has rejected findings of a recent Public Interest Accountability Committee (PIAC) report on oil revenue expenditure. The committee's findings showed that about 50% of oil cash projects did not exist, while finance ministers from 2011 to date have failed to update Parliament on oil revenue spending. Speaking earlier on Upfront, the current affairs program on JoyNews, Mr. Forson said the report showed members of the committee don't understand how public financial management and accounting rules play out.
I disagree with the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. I say this because somebody is making a very sweeping statement without checking. Raymond, it is very easy for anyone to look at the budget as projected and project expenditure, go to the ground and make reconciliation and say that government had planned to raise 1.4 billion for the year 2016, for instance, from annual budget funding amount. And then to use the 1.4 billion and say that because ABCD is going to come in, per the budget statement, A is supposed to be done, B is supposed to be done, up to Z. Yet I can't see them. But when you make that kind of analysis, it is dead on arrival. Dead on arrival.
You think that was what was done?
Yes, probably. I mean, and because what they are trying to portray is not certainly the situation. I'll give you an example. In the year 2016, the projections from the annual budget funding amount, the oil money that is supposed to support the implementation of the 2016 budget, was about 1.4 billion Ghana cedis.
Okay.
1.4 billion Ghana cedis. At the end of the year 2016, the actual receipt that went into the budget for the purposes of funding the 2016 budget was only 700 million.
Interesting.
So therefore, you will make a mistake by looking at the budget statement, look at the accompanied expenditure lines, and then say that they said they are going to use the money to do A, B, C, D, yet I've gone out there and the money is not there because they were projections in the first place. I would have wished.
Projection based on expected money coming in.
Expected money coming in.
Are you saying that at the end of the day the money never came in?
Yeah, of course. That's I'm giving you statistics. I'm giving you numbers. In the year 2016, as I said, we projected to receive an amount of 1.4 billion for the budget in the form of oil revenue coming in. And we had 8 corresponding expenditures. Unfortunately, by the end of the year 2016, the actual receipt in the form of annual budget funding amount as per the Petroleum Revenue Management Act was only 700 million. So the project that we had anticipated to implement, obviously we will not be able to implement those projects. So that is what I'm trying to tell you, that it will be a mistake for anyone to look at the headline expenditure as projected and then conclude that government could not do it and so therefore the money did not go there. My question to PIAC is simple. Can they show us evidence of government of Ghana releases or payment to those projects of which the project turned out to be that the projects are not in existence? Until that time, I will contest this report.
But in a sharp rebuttal, a former member of the PIAC, who is also Executive Director of KIP, Ishmael Jikumhini, says figures put out in PIAC's report regarding non-existence of some oil-funded projects are coming out of the Finance Ministry's own records. He challenged allegations of members not being conversant with financial management practices and noted that KIP would soon come out with a similar report to corroborate PIAC's position.
I think it's a very sad remark to hear a former deputy minister saying what he said. I mean, I've listened to the playback of the interview, and obviously, I'm not sure he's read the report that PIAC produced and what exactly PIAC sought to do. I've heard another deputy minister also making similar comments. I think they should probably go and read what PIAC has done and based on that, maybe come back. You should let them go and read the documents and come back. You see, they are talking about budget projections. What PIAC has done, and it's not now. And tell you what, Emmanuel, next week we are going to launch a report ourselves. I'm talking about KIT, and similar findings have been made. Look, they are not talking about budgetary allocations. They are talking about actual expenditure as released and published by the Ministry of Finance itself. You know, when the Ministry of Finance is reporting on the petroleum funds, they provide a table or a list of projects that they use the ABFA to fund every year. So this is not based on budgetary allocation. This is actually based on what PIAC has done and what I have seen from the report is actual figures as released by the Ministry of, in fact, his ministry.
And that was a former member of PIAC, Ishmael Jekumhini, sharing his thoughts on that allegation by the former Deputy Finance Minister. Away from that, the Energy Commission says it has trained and certified over 5,000 electricians for wiring services nationwide. Consequently, officials say they have intensified monitoring to flush out uncertified practitioners. It is part of measures to help reduce domestic and industrial fire outbreaks. Associate Programs Officer at the Commission, Stephen Yomo, spoke with Love Business on the sidelines of the 9th Electrical Wiring Certificate Award ceremony held in Kumasi. Nana Sensu Mensa has more.
The electrical wiring regulation passed in 2012 prescribes training, assessment, and certification of practitioners. Under the law, only certified electricians are permitted to provide both private and public service, as Mr. Yomu emphasizes.
In October last year, we fully declared the implementation. And under such circumstances, non-certified electricians or certified persons, they are not allowed to work in Ghana. They are supposed to get certified before they work in Ghana. Under the full implementation, only certified electricians are allowed to work in Ghana. When they conduct their work as an electrician, they are expected to call in inspectors, certified inspectors who have been certified by the Energy Commission to come and inspect the job that they have done. It is after that that they issue installation completion certificates, which the facility owner will now send to the distribution utility, ECG or NETCO, to begin or to initiate service connection procedures. So we encourage all facility owners to use certified electrical wiring professionals so as to reduce the events of electrocution and then fire outbreaks in Ghana.
The Commission is presently inspecting and assessing energy efficiency of all public and commercial buildings of over 10 years.
Under the full implementation, we are carrying out inspection of public facilities. All public and commercial facilities are expected to be inspected, especially those that are 10 years and above. The law states that they should be inspected, and inspectors are available. You can get them on our website or through the mobile app. The Energy Commission has a mobile app called Certified Electricians, where you can look for inspectors and engage them to inspect your facility, either a hotel or a public building or a shopping mall or whatever.
Reporting for JoyNews, Nana Asensu Mensah.
And back in Accra, the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Ian Walker, says the UK government's trade ties with Ghana remains unchanged despite the Brexit transition period, which ends in 2020. Ian Walker has been explaining to Joy Business various strategies his government is employing to rather expand trade opportunities with other African countries, including Ghana. Charles Aiti has more in this report.
As the Commonwealth Heads of Government meetings kickstarts next week in London, we engaged the High Commissioner Ian Walker, who assures us of deeper bilateral ties between the UK and Ghana and other investment opportunities as well. The British High Commissioner to Ghana, Ian Walker, has discounted claims that the UK's Brexit transition period, which ends in 2020, will include austere economic reforms which will trickle down to job cuts and trimmed funds for development projects. However, speaking exclusively to Joy Business, Ian Walker hinted that Britain will rather reassess all trade partnerships with states including Ghana. According to him, this assessment will rather open up great trade and investment opportunities in the country.
I think it's about saying, how will the UK reorientate some of its trade? And let's not forget, whilst we are leaving the EU, we will retain very close relationships with our European friends and allies. So I think that what we're talking about is a reorientation, but for me, one that comes with lots of opportunity. And I don't see it as a negative, certainly don't see it as a negative with regard to the Ghana-UK relationship. Quite the opposite, actually. I see it as a fairly distinct opportunity for us to reset and reinvest in each other's economies.
Ian Walker has also been updating Joy Business on the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which takes place in London next week. According to the British High Commissioner, the meeting will see all 53 heads and ministers of government engage with the UK government on new ways to deepen bilateral trade ties.
I think it's quite a historic Commonwealth Summit, as well as being a regular, it's a biannual event every 2 years. What is it? I think it's a chance to get the Commonwealth member states together, 53 countries, of which about a third of the world's population under 25 lives in those countries, to bring together those leaders and to talk about the issues that are important to them. It's very much a Commonwealth. It's not about the UK lead. It's just the UK is hosting it this year. 2 years ago it was in Malta, and in 2 years' time it will be somewhere else.
So far, Britain has given Ghana more than 69 million euros in balance of payment support. Ghana has reportedly acquired more aid from Britain than any African country except Zimbabwe.
Now moving on, Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has revealed a crack in the Securities and Exchange law that could allow cryptocurrencies to be considered as a form of security. Speaking at a digital business conference organized by the Nobel International Business School and Joy Business under the theme Blockchain, Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency, a Revolution or a Fad, Reverend Ogbami Tete indicated although cryptocurrency is not regulated in the country as a currency, there is a window in the law for it to be considered as a security.
The two-day conference brought together experts in blockchain and cryptocurrency technologies to look at the role of the technology in various sectors of the economy. The emergence of cryptocurrency has been met with opposing views globally. In some jurisdictions, including Ghana, the digital currency is yet to be regulated by the central bank. Speaking at the digital conference, however, the Director General for the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Ogbami Tete, said Section 216 of Act 929 needs some more clarity.
Currently in Ghana, we do not have a regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies as yet. We have not crystallized any generally accepted legal definition of cryptocurrencies as in the USA and other jurisdictions. The Banking Act does not seem to accommodate cryptocurrencies as a currency. Again, the Securities Industry Act 2016, Act 929, however, does not recognize cryptocurrencies as securities. The definition of securities in Section 216 of Act 929, however, seems to provide a little window. After giving a list of different things defined as securities, it adds a last category, which is described as any other instruments, as the minister may by notice in the Gazette prescribe upon the recommendation of the Commission.
On his part, Executive Dean of the Nobel International Business School, organizers of the digital conference, Professor Kweku Etuahenejima, called for collaboration between regulators and tech experts to help regulate cryptocurrency usage in the country.
Very, very important to note that regulators are always behind new developments. That's very essential to note. And sometimes it is the developers of the new technologies that have to educate the regulators in order for them to be able to understand what is happening so that they can have the appropriate regulation. In fact, many times the developers of new technologies work with regulators in tandem to design the appropriate regulation. So I'm not surprised that he was saying that. And it's not only in Ghana, in other countries, Japan, Korea, Australia, US, they are all struggling with this. But that is not something to be feared.
Casper van der Elst is a cryptocurrency expert and a senior associate at the Swiss Business School, and he adds his voice to the call.
It really depends on the people themselves. People themselves need to be more protective of their blockchain activities. In the case of Bitcoin, the protocol of Bitcoin was actually never hacked. But the people that own wallets or the exchanges that are owning Bitcoin on behalf of others, those have been hacked. So it is actually people that were not careful enough that caused kinds of fraud to happen.
The Dixel conference was under the theme Blockchain, Bitcoin and Cryptocurrencies, a Revolution or a Fad.
Finance house NDK has begun moves with some foreign banks to help reduce cost on guarantees. This move has become necessary due to increased charges offered by some local banks when offering guarantees for various projects. When successful, it will position the financial service company to offer guarantees to a larger number of people to finance bigger projects. Ebenezer Sabote has more in this report.
NTK Financial Services is licensed by the Bank of Ghana to issue letters of credit and guarantees for its clients upon request as part of the service provision. Using the local Ghanaian banks to deliver the service makes it more expensive for clients as compared with having a foreign bank to offer the service. Divisional Head of Credits at NDK, Felix Hagan, disclosed that the company has already begun moves to partner some foreign banks soon.
It's something we've been doing for some time now. But in terms of how we route it now through local banks, so when the client comes to us, we go to our local partners, the banks, to do the LCs for us. And it's a bit expensive, so we are discussing with foreign banks to get a line so that when we get these requests, we do it directly through to them to take out the bit of the local banks. It becomes cheaper for us and also cheaper for the clients, and bottom line, to make our clients happier. That's it.
When you say foreign banks, is it foreign banks that are established here in Ghana or?
No. You know, most LCs are routed to, if I would say, outside. So for foreign banks, we're talking more of banks outside Ghana.
He was speaking to Joy Business at the sidelines of a cybersecurity seminar for clients of NDK in Accra. The seminar provides clients the opportunity to learn best practices in protecting their businesses and personal online accounts. Speaking on the main subject for the seminar, Deputy Managing Director of the company, Kwoko Aisha, also noted that there is a need for the collaboration and cooperation among stakeholders within the financial sector to consistently preempt cyber attacks.
We have as one of our strategic objectives to be a technologically responsive company by 2020. So for us, we wanted to engage our clients, to educate them, to let them be aware of the threats and the issues of the cyber fraud, so that when we roll out our products, they are an informed, as it were, an informed customer base. So really it was to ensure that our customers are able to deal with and are able to have the knowledge that is required to handle all the challenges that are going on right now in the cyberspace.
But have you had cases of such in HR?
Oh yes, I believe there was a testimonial within the seminar where a client informed or shared that an email, a suspicious email, was sent to NDK asking for some of his monies to be transferred. But one of our staff, because we do train our staff, they have protocols that they observe as to security questions that they would ask. So one of the staff contacted him, but he wasn't in the country, so she ignored the email. And then later when he came around, they were able to engage and identify that someone had hacked into his email and sent an email purporting to be him.
In 2016 alone, over 1,000 fraud incidents were reported to the Bank of Ghana. These amounted to losses of approximately 244 million Ghana cedis.
The 10-member committee proposed by President Akufo-Addo to deal with concerns of local banks are expected to submit their report by the end of May. A memo cited by Joy Business covering the meeting, which was concluded on Monday, showed that the committee should start work next Tuesday and present its recommendation by May 26. Top on the agenda would be their verdict on whether the December deadline for recapitalization should be extended to the year 2022. The latest information confirms an earlier report by Joy Business on Tuesday about details of the meeting at the presidency. Meanwhile, some of these local banks present at the meeting have rejected accusations that their action is not good for the Bank of Ghana's independence. Managing Director of GN Bank, Issa Adams, highlights some more concerns of the banking sector.
Look, what is the core mandate of a bank? You mobilize deposits and give the deposits out as what? As loans. That's the core mandate. Now you mobilize the deposits, give it out as loans, and repayment becomes a problem. And Bank of Ghana have very stringent rules when it comes to bad loans. They will insist that you make a provision, you will classify and make a provision. And that tends to affect your bottom line. So almost invariably, whatever you are giving out as loans, if you are not able to recover it, it affects you. So you've taken people's monies to give it out as loans. Later, when the people come for their monies, how do you pay them? So I think the NPL situation is something that has to be looked at very critically. And that can be addressed, I think, if the economy improves. And we've seen some very good signs in the economy. Perhaps if it continues this way, then business will boom and customers will be able to do good business and be able to pay back their loans on time. So that banks. The reforms, yeah, but we have been having banking reforms for the past 10 years, if not more. Has that brought any changes? Yeah, so the reforms, current reforms that Bank of Ghana is embarking on, I think is a good thing. But all the same, governments, I think, in the long run, will play a more significant role in making banks stand on their feet in this country.
The Oil Palm and Research Institute under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research is calling for a focus on production of coconut in the country. It says Ghana can leverage the growing demand for coconut to improve its economy. Karen Dodu reports.
Most of the world's production of coconut comes from the tropical regions, with Asia accounting for 73% of the world's total output. The coconut industry is the highest net foreign exchange earner of agriculture exports in the Philippines, accounting for about 1.5% of GDP. It currently employs some 20 million people and earns more than $10 million annually from exports. The Oil Palm Research Institute, OPRI, of Ghana is under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR. One of its mandates is to carry out research on coconuts and offer technical support to coconut cultivation. Acting Director of OPIR, Emmanuel Ando Mensah, believes that more concentration on the production of coconuts could help transform the country's economic fortunes.
It has a huge potential. It is a commodity that has been identified as an investment crop, which can be used to create wealth, create jobs in the rural populations. And it's also seriously untapped. When you come to coconut, it is merely the copra, the oil. But meanwhile, you can talk about a lot of products. And these will form basis of job creation and wealth creation and so forth.
Coconut has been a cash crop for decades. The fruit can be used for several commercial purposes. For instance, the coconut oil is well noted for its health value. It is currently competing with other vegetable oils. Now, very refreshing coconut there. And the demand for the coconut fruit is growing worldwide, not just to satisfy taste, but it's also turning around some economies. Now, although Ghana is not exploring the full potential of its coconuts through exports, the OPRI believes that more value can be added to a locally grown coconuts. Reporting for Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
A rather interesting piece there by Karen Dodu, my colleague. And on her voice, we wrap up this edition of Business Live. It's been great having you on board. Join us again same time tomorrow. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. Have a good evening.